Hey guys, it's Trish here. Thanks for joining me for day 2 of the MFT Camp Create. This one is titled Awesome Ombre, and the card that I created today actually could have worked for day 3 as well, but I kept creating. This challenge of Camp Create was awesome for me because it really forced me to start thinking and using my mojo a little bit more, so it was awesome. But I am starting out today with the MFT confetti background stamp, and I love this stamp. This is the first time I'm using it, but oh my goodness, I love it. Why have I waited so long? And to go with it, I am using the Tim Holtz Distress watercolor paper, which I seem to be gravitating to a lot lately. I'm really enjoying using it. So I've inked up the background stamp with some Versamark ink, and I'm going to go ahead and use some detail clear embossing powder. I think this is the super fine detail clear from Ranger, and I'm just applying that all over my background, and then I'm going to go and heat set it. Now you will notice once I start inking it up that the confetti dots are not perfect. I ended up using just a scrap piece of paper that I had on my desk instead of using like a big sheet of typing paper or printer paper, and big mistake, my page ended up shifting just a little bit, and so my circles are not quite circles. They're more oval, but it's fine. It works fine. I wasn't going to waste the paper. I just decided to go with it. So this section of the video is super sped up because it did take me a little bit of time, and I apologize for the shaking of the video. But I am using 3 different colors of Distress inks. I'm using Spun Sugar, and then I'm going in with Worn Lipstick second, and my last color is going to be Picked Raspberry, and I am going to town blending these 3 colors all together to get the ombre effect for my card. Now, just like any other time I do Distress ink blending, I'm going back and forth between all the colors to really get an overlap and get them blended seamlessly. And I really like this soft pink background that this challenge made me or inspired me to create. So to go along with my background, I am using the MFT Make-A-Wish stamp set. This is new in my collection. It did come out just recently, and I am using a ton of it for this Camp Create week, so you'll be seeing more of it in upcoming videos. But I decided that I wanted to do some embossing, and I wanted to do sparkle embossing. Surprise, surprise, I'm using the Judakins Iridescent Sparkle again. I am really like re-falling in love with an old friend with this embossing powder. I haven't used it in a really long time, and one day I decided to just bust it out and use it, and I am loving it. So I'm stamping with Versa Fine Onyx Black ink, and that ink does stay wet for a little while, and so that gives me time to go ahead and sprinkle this glitter embossing powder on top of it, and then I can go ahead and heat set it, and it's still giving me that crisp black image, but with the raised effect and of course some glitter shine to it. Now when I do emboss with glitter embossing powder, I do heat up the back first, that way I'm not blowing away all the glitter off of it, and then I will move to the front and finish heat setting that. I'm just adding a little flag end onto this sentiment strip, and I cut down the center and then go in from either end and connect it to try and get as close to a even flag end for both. And then I'm visiting my old friend glitter paper. I don't know what it is with glitter cardstock in me lately. I am flying through this pack of glitter cardstock. I have a couple. One is more neutral tones and then others are brights, but I am just obsessed with this lately. I just love the little extra it gives to a card. So I decided that I would go ahead and incorporate the black glitter paper to go ahead with the glittery sentiment that I do have when I used the embossing powder, and so I just matted the sentiment strip onto the black glitter paper and went with it. Now I'm using some of the candles from this stamp set. Now I didn't want to cut my stamp quite yet. I tend to do that later on, so I'm just go ahead and selectively inking the candles that I would like. The first color that I used was the Lawn Fawn Fresh Cut Grass, and then I'm going in with the candle on the opposite side to give it a little bit of a different design, because this one has polka dots instead of stripes, and that is the Lawn Fawn Mermaid ink. And again, I'm just selectively stamping the candles so that I don't have to worry about inking them all up. And then for the flames of the candle, again, I'm selectively stamping just the one side, and I'm using two colors for this. I'm using the Sunflower, which is the yellow color, and then Pumpkin Spice, which is the orange color. And I'm doing a little bit of a rock and roll effect to it. I think that's what it's called. I'm just dipping it in the yellow and then rocking the bottom of the candle, or bottom of the flame, in the Sunflower ink to give it a little bit more realistic look to it. For my card base today, I'm using the Simon Says Stamp 120-pound cardstock, because this is my absolute favorite for white cardstock bases, because it is so heavy duty, and I just like how solid it is, so I don't have to worry about my card being flimsy, and it'll stand up if you put it on a table. It's awesome. So for my candles, I decided that I wanted it peeking from above and below the sentiment, so I went ahead and cut them in half, and then I'm just applying a little bit of snail adhesive onto the back so that I can apply the candles. Now, I left this portion in there because my original thought was, oh, I'd have them crisscross and it would look really cool, but once I went ahead and attached them, it just wasn't working for me. For whatever reason, I just was not feeling it, and so I went ahead and just remove them and then reapply them straight up and down, side by side, and sometimes that happens, and it's totally okay to go ahead and change what your original vision was to get what you ideally would like. I'm applying some foam tape onto the back of my sentiment just to have it raised from the background, and then I'm just going to go ahead and apply that, and then I will trim the side off that is hanging just a little bit. I like to stamp my sentiments closer to the middle of the page, and then once I decide whether I'm going to leave it straight or at a flag end or wherever I'm going to place it on my card, it gives me that safety net in case I do need that little extra space. Trimmed off that edge, I'm just using some foam tape again and applying that onto the flames of my candle. And I decided before I apply them that I needed a wick for the candle, so I'm just using a basic black pen to just draw in those wicks, and then I'm just applying both of the flames onto the candle with some foam tape, as I mentioned. Once I'm satisfied with that, I'm going and using the Tombow Extreme Adhesive Tape Runner, just because I did heat set this background panel, and I was worried that it might have a little bit of warping to it. So just to be sure, I'm using some extra strong snail adhesive, and then I'm applying that onto my card base. I apologize for my head being in the way, but I just wanted to make sure it was centered. And then lastly, I'm just using my Spectrum Noir in the sparkling clear pen to add a little bit of sheen onto the flames of my candle. And that completes my card for day 2 of the MFT Camp Create Awesome Ombre. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget, there will be a link in the description box down below to my blog so you guys can see a list of supplies used on this card, and I'll see you very soon for day 3 of the MFT Camp Create.